And welcome to another one of our Maple Systems webinars. My name is Zach. I'm going to be hosting this webinar today. If you didn't catch our last round of webinars, we did our PLC product line. You can check out that video on YouTube if you want to go back and rewatch that. I'm very excited to be back here again doing another round of webinars here from Maple Systems. This time we were talking about our brand new Web HMI product line. So very excited as a company to introduce this product to you and to take you through what a Web HMI is, including the specifications, application uses, and some case studies that we have ran through to best provide the best case scenario for what you would use this Web HMI for. So during this presentation, we're going to watch a 20-minute video here, pre-recorded, hosted by myself as well. And we're going to go over all that information, like I said, including specifications, application uses, case studies, things like that. In between the video, we're going to stop about halfway for any questions. So if you do have any questions, any feedback, please use the chat and let us know. We really appreciate it, and please don't be shy at all. We love any type of feedback, any type of questions you can give us. Really helps us as a whole to best find what fits your needs in the best. So after that, we will finish up, do a couple more questions if we have some, which I'm sure we will. And then we are going to hop into a live demo. Really hope you all stick around for that. That's going to be the really fun part there. We're going to show you some of the case studies that we talk about in the video. We're going to talk about 5 in the video. We're going to show you about 3 of those for time's sake, 3 of the bigger ones there. And that's going to be a lot of fun, like I said. So really hope you all stick around for that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get going. I'm going to go ahead and start the video. And like I said, we'll pause about halfway through. Fire off any questions here in the chat. We really do appreciate any questions that you ask or any feedback again. And just thank you all for joining. Hi, my name is Zach and I'm with Maple Systems, and today I will be talking to you all about our Web HMI model line. Here's a brief overview of what we will be discussing today. First, we will define what exactly a Web HMI is, including what it can be used for across the industrial automation industry. Then, we will introduce the 6 different models we have to offer. Next, we will discuss how to browse the web and other web-based devices, such as adding URLs and changing the destination. After that, we will showcase a few practical case studies that we have created to best demonstrate how the Web HMI would be used in a real-world environment. These include web-based SCADA platforms, web streaming from an HMI, CODESYS WebVisu, and connecting to a Raspberry Pi. And finally, we will go over the specifications of the 6 Web HMI models. Before we go further in discussing the Web HMI, it is best if we first define what a Web HMI is and how it can be used in an industrial automation field. A Web HMI is an industrial touchscreen that is equipped with a Chromium-based web browser which allows users to access web-based devices across their facility as well as stream web-accessible HMIs. It can also be used to simply display and control a website of your choosing. With the Web HMI's rugged durability and UL ratings, including Class 1 and Div 2 ratings, it can fit into just about any industrial automation setting. The Web HMIs are client devices, meaning that the only connections that they rely on is that of a central server for accessing services and processing data. They are simply an extension of a server interface and connecting via internet to display data and act as an operational screen back to the server. Since the Web HMIs are server-based systems, the central server does all of the actual work, whereas the Web HMI simply acts as the proxy for the control of operations and data, meaning nothing is actually stored on the Web HMI itself. In addition, URLs are stored directly onto the Web HMI, so users do not have to continuously input them. This setup is fantastic for better efficiency and reducing power consumption and centralizing processing. I mentioned that the Web HMI can access web-based devices or web-based applications. What this means is that any program or device that operates on a server can be accessible through the Web HMI via the built-in web browser using HTTP. As mentioned, this can range from full SCADA systems to simple web browser applications and sites. Since the Web HMIs have a built-in Chromium browser, the integration into any existing system is streamlined and simple. All you need to do is connect the Web HMI to an already existing network, configure your URLs, which we will discuss later, and that's it. Your Web HMI can now connect to any device or application that is also on the same network. Due to the easy integration, the Web HMI is also perfect for scaling your existing setup. Adding multiple or just one screen is simple and easy, and with the UL ratings of the Web HMIs, including Class 1 Div 2, it is even easier to incorporate them into your existing applications as they are properly rated for the industrial automation environment. In addition to all of that, the Web HMIs are cost effective as well, which also contributes to the ease of scalability and integration. Ranging from $400 to $900 depending on the size and screen type, resistive or capacitive, the Web HMIs can help cut down costs while still being able to add multiple new screens throughout your facility. Also, the Web HMIs require no additional programming software, so no new project ever needs to be made since it is just connecting with the device with an already existing project on it. Now that we know a little bit more about what a Web HMI is, let's discuss how easy it is to set up and configure the Web HMIs so that you can connect to web-based devices. Setting up the Web HMI is simple. Upon unboxing and initial power-up, the user will be prompted to create a username and password. Once created, the user can then navigate to the URL setup page. On this page, you can set up to 5 default URLs that you wish to navigate through. Simply type in the web address or the IP address of the device that you are connecting to in any of the URL fields, then select the URL you wish to navigate to and press the Save button. You will then restart the Web HMI and upon boot up, it will connect to the selected URL. You can change the URL that the Web HMI will connect to at any time as well. To do this, you will simply power cycle the unit, then upon boot up you will log in and navigate back to the URL section screen and reselect the new desired URL, then restart the Web HMI once again. You can also change the screen timeout delay from the URL page. This will change how long you have after power up to select that you wish to change a setting before the Web HMI launches to the selected URL. Let's move on to discuss the different models for the Web HMIs. We offer 6 different models, 3 capacitive and 3 resistive screens in 3 different sizes for the Web HMI line. Also, our capacitive touchscreens are specifically PCAP. The first model has a display type of 4.3 inches and a max resolution of 480 by 272. The next model has a display type of 7 inches. The resistive touchscreen has a max resolution of 800 by 480, and the capacitive touchscreen has a max resolution of 1024 by 600. The last model has a display of 10.1 inches and a max resolution of 1024 by 600. Now let's get into some of our case studies that we have created to best illustrate popular uses for our Web HMI. We have 4 case studies that we will discuss today. The first case study that we will look into is using the Web HMI in conjunction with a web-based SCADA system such as Ignition. As we have discussed already, the Web HMI can access any application that is broadcast over the web, meaning that it can connect to web-based SCADA software such as Ignition. We will show this in more detail later during our live demo. With the Web HMI being able to connect to a SCADA software like Ignition, this means that the operator of the Web HMI can have full access to everything that is a part of that Ignition application, which gives the user full control over the data and controls being used within the application. This provides ease of access throughout your facility as you could have several Web HMIs set up throughout, giving multiple users the opportunity to view data and control system operations at any level of the facility rather than in just one central location. One question that you may have is, where would the Web HMI fit into my SCADA system? If we take a look at the diagram on the screen, we can see a great illustration of one of the most common ways that the Web HMI would fit into any SCADA system. Just like any SCADA system, we have a device tree of all communicating devices, meaning where the devices come into play and at what level. You can see that at the bottom level there are devices such as motors, VFDs, and sensors. Then you would have your PLCs and HMIs, and above all would be your SCADA software that controls the full facility. This is where the Web HMI would fit into this application, as the Web HMI, as previously discussed, can connect directly to web-based SCADA systems, which allows to essentially act as an additional screen that can display all the same information that the main SCADA software screen is displaying. Given the compatibility, this makes the Web HMI extremely versatile for all facilities, as it can be added to just about anywhere across the facility as long as it can connect to a local network and then connect back to the web-based SCADA software. You can also run the web-based SCADA software directly from an IPC, industrial PC, which Maple Systems has many varieties to offer. In addition to these setups, you can also connect directly to an HMI via the web HMI using a web-based feature on the main HMI, which we will discuss more in the next section. This allows you to operate the HMI, PLC, and other devices from the web HMI since it would be connected directly to the main HMI controlling those devices. The next case study that we are going to discuss is HMI streaming via the web. Our Maple Systems HMI line offers a feature known as EasyWeb. EasyWeb allows a user to set up their HMI on a local network and then broadcast the HMI project over the web and can be accessed by simply entering the IP address of the HMI via web browser. Since the web HMI acts as a Chromium-based web browser, it too can then access the HMI project via EasyWeb. This is a perfect setup as well for headless HMIs. Since headless HMIs do not have screens, they already require a monitor to view and control the HMI. Headless HMIs are great for smaller spaces and can be better fit into tighter enclosures. However, you still need a way to control the HMI. Our Maple headless HMIs can broadcast their project as well via EasyWeb, which can then be connected via the web HMI for full control over the HMI project. This means that the headless HMI can be tucked away in a safe enclosure while the web HMI is out in the open within the facility for operators to control the project. Some reasons why this would be preferred over a regular HMI setup are that the capacitive web HMIs specifically have brighter than normal screens and are Class 1 Div 2 rated, which not all regular HMIs are. Having a capacitive screen also has its own advantages besides being brighter, since they are more sensitive and easier to control for operators. This is not just a feature that is available through our Maple System HMIs. There are other HMI companies out there that have a very similar web-based feature as well, including Allen Bradley HMIs, which use a feature called Factory Talk Viewpoint. With this feature on the Allen Bradley HMIs, the web HMIs can again act as an extension for the main HMI and be used in multiple locations throughout your facility. This is also applicable for any other high-cost HMI. With the web HMI, you can extend high-cost HMIs in a more cost-effective manner across your facility through the web-based features. As I mentioned, with web HMI streaming on an HMI, the setup is as simple as entering in an IP address on the web HMI in the URL setup. Of course, the main HMI and web HMI must be on the same local network so that they can communicate with each other and so the web HMI can broadcast the project from the main HMI. The web HMI does not just broadcast and display the main HMI it is connecting to via the web either. It allows full access and control of the HMI project as though the web HMI has the same project downloaded to it. However, nothing is actually downloaded to it since again it is a client-based unit. This means that you can have several web HMIs across your facility to help better integrate and ease of access for operators. Since you have full control over the main HMI that you are connected to, there is no limitation as to what you can do and control from the web HMI, including changing the settings of the main HMI. To further expand on this, a great example of where this setup would excel would be in an application where you have a large machine that you need to interface with in several locations, but do not want to manage two separate HMI programs. Since you can mirror the original HMI screen with the web HMI, you only need to manage one HMI and one program. Practical uses for this type of setup can include having the main HMI in a hazardous area and still needing to control it remotely. With the web HMIs, you can simply stream the main HMI over the web and control it from a safe distance and in a cost-effective manner. As previously mentioned, this allows you to extend your main HMI across your facility in several locations so that the operators can access whatever they need from the HMI in any location within the facility. All right, we are going to go ahead and pause there for our first break. I do have a couple questions here that we're going to get to, and then we will go ahead and move along. First question that I have is what would be the best case use or application for these web HMIs? So through our development, what we see as one of the best uses for these web HMIs is within a web-based SCADA system. Because they are a web-based device and they can connect to applications that broadcast over the web, such as web-based SCADA software, like we just talked about with Ignition. There are several other web-based SCADA softwares out there. We just specifically worked with Ignition for this example. What you can do and what the benefit with these web HMIs is that you have your main SCADA platform on an IPC up in a control room or wherever you have it in your facility. And without having to buy another IPC or an industrial monitor, you can extend that display and not just display, but full control throughout your facility in a cost-effective manner with these web HMIs. On top of that, these are high brightness web HMIs, so they're sunlight readable, and they are Class 1 Div 2 as well. So they really fit into that industrial automation setup for a SCADA system. And on top of that, they're not just a mirror display of the main IPC, they are their own instance. So if you had 10 web HMIs connected to an IPC running Ignition, for example, you could have each screen on a different section of that program, of your SCADA program. And then on top of that, because they are not hardwired in, there's no limitation to the amount of web HMIs you can have across your facility. So just another benefit right there as well. The other question here that I have is, do these support HTTPS? The answer to that is yes. They are HTML5 devices, so they do support HTTPS. All right, we are going to go ahead and continue on here with the second half. Again, if I didn't get to any of your questions, I will try to answer them on this next break before we go to the live demo. And if I don't get to it before then, because the live demo, we're going to kind of just go straight through, I will contact you after this, once we are done with our webinars here today. So without further ado, let's continue on. To our third case study that we are going to discuss, CODESYS plus WebVisu. CODESYS is a vast and diverse PLC programming software that includes many extra add-ons and packages to best utilize your PLC. Many PLCs can be programmed through CODESYS using the standard CODESYS runtime license. One of the many great features within CODESYS is a feature called WebVisu. WebVisu allows you to create visual elements and graphics that correlate to your PLC logic, but with no HMI necessary. These visuals can be hosted by your PC, or for this example, by a web HMI. As you program your PLC logic within CODESYS, you will create the visuals just as you would using any HMI software. Then, once downloaded to your PLC, you can broadcast the visuals on the web HMI by connecting via IP address and control the logic within the PLC through the visuals. This means that you have full control over the interface of the PLC project just as you would using a regular HMI. Since this feature is directly integrated into the CODESYS software, that means that you only need to use the software for PLC logic and visuals rather than two separate softwares. In addition to all this, since CODESYS is a PC-based software, you can run CODESYS directly on an industrial PC, which again, we offer several varieties of, and stream the CODESYS WebVisu feature from the IPC onto a web HMI. The last case study that we will be discussing today is the use of our web HMIs with a Raspberry Pi. We have two separate case studies involving a Raspberry Pi, one using a VNC server application such as NoVNC to connect to the web HMI and view and control the desktop of a Raspberry Pi, and the other using the web HMI to control the Raspberry Pi GPIO. First, let's discuss using the web HMI as a VNC server to view and control the Raspberry Pi desktop. The web HMI can remote in and interact with desktop PCs such as a Raspberry Pi with the use of VNC, which stands for Virtual Network Computing for those not familiar with the protocol. To set this up, you will need to use a local VNC server application and NoVNC, which will enable the PC or Raspberry Pi in this example to grant remote access to the web HMI so that you can connect, visualize, and interact with the desktop of a Raspberry Pi. Not only that, but this can also be done on an industrial PC running Linux or Windows. I mentioned the application NoVNC. This is a free open source browser-based HTML5 VNC client application. NoVNC acts as a VNC server which then allows other devices to connect to said server without the need for a dedicated VNC client application. This is what allows the web HMI to be able to access the desktop of a Raspberry Pi, since the web HMI does not have a native VNC server functionality built into it. So a third-party application such as NoVNC must be used. With this functionality now enabled on the web HMI, this allows for diverse accessibility, as the web HMI would now have full access to any application that is built on the Raspberry Pi and have full control over any visual aspect to that application. Although a Raspberry Pi may not be common in the industrial automation industry, what this does illustrate is how simple it is to set up a similar application but ran from an IPC instead, which would be better suited for an industrial automation facility. As mentioned, no VNC could be run from an IPC via Linux or Windows operating system. What this can then allow you to do is to access a VNC client from the PC, which you can then use to access an HMI on the local network that may not have a web streaming function. This further adds to the diversity of the web HMI and how it can connect and communicate with many different devices across a facility and remains a cost-efficient solution for many applications. Now let's discuss using the web HMI to control the Raspberry Pi GPIO. For those who are unfamiliar, GPIO stands for General Purpose Input Output. Raspberry Pis have these inputs and outputs built in internally and can be accessed using scripts within the Raspberry Pi. In addition to this, since a Raspberry Pi is a web-based product, that means that it can be accessed over an HTTP web client, such as the web HMI. And then within accessing the Raspberry Pi via the web HMI, you can then control the GPIO through the built-in script within the Raspberry Pi. You will need to first connect to the Raspberry Pi via accessing the SSH through a PC. This is where you will be able to set the IP address and the port number of the Raspberry Pi so that you are able to easily access the device through the web HMI. This is also where you will design your script that will inevitably control the GPIO. In the example on the screen on rungs 24 through 28, you can see that our goal in this is to access GPIO pin 18 to turn it on and off and control a simple LED light. When the GPIO pin goes high, equals 1, it will turn the LED light on. And when it goes low, equals 0, it will turn the light off. This will then be programmed to simple buttons that will appear on our web HMI once connected to the Raspberry Pi. Once everything is programmed within the SSH of the Raspberry Pi, all you will need to do from there is wire your device, such as an LED, to the correct GPIO pins and provide power to the GPIO board. On this slide, you can see an example of what the wiring diagram would look like and where the GPIO is located on this specific Raspberry Pi device. Now that everything is programmed and wired, all that is left is to connect the Raspberry Pi via the web HMI, which is done through a simple HTTP-based web address using the programmed Raspberry Pi IP address and port number. This format will be as follows: IP address, port number. In this example, the IP address is 192.168.150.106. And the port number is 8000, which were both previously set up in the script within the SSH of the Raspberry Pi. Once connected via IP address and port number through the web HMI, you can now control the GPIO of the Raspberry Pi through the simple interface designed within the script previously. Before we wrap up, let's briefly discuss the specifications of these 6 web HMI models. All 6 web HMI models come in either capacitive or resistive touchscreen. A quick explanation as to the difference between capacitive and resistive touchscreens. Capacitive screens have multi-touch, meaning you can pinch to zoom in and out, are more sensitive, more accurate, and are brighter. Whereas resistive touchscreens are pressure sensitive, meaning they can be used in harsher environments where operators may have to use thicker gloves. However, our capacitive web HMI touchscreens are PCAP, so they can be used with light gloves. The operating temperature of the web HMIs range from 32 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 to 50 degrees Celsius. The storage temperature ranges from -4 to 185 degrees Fahrenheit or -20 to 85 degrees Celsius. All 6 models are Class 1 Div 2, CE, and RoHS certified and have an IP66 compliant front panel. The web HMIs all run on a Chromium-based web browser, version 75. They also include a 10 or 100 Mbps RJ45 port for communicating to the web and other devices, as well as a USB-A host port for use of keyboards. The web HMIs support an input voltage of 24 VDC with a plus-minus of 15%. The luminance on the capacitive models is 1000 for the 4.3-inch and 7-inch models and 760 for the 10.1-inch model. However, we are currently working on increasing that to match the 1000 luminance of the other two capacitive models. For the resistive models, the luminance is 350 for the 7-inch and 10.1-inch model and 400 for the 4.3-inch model. That all but does it for our presentation today. Just to highlight all that we went over again, we defined what a web HMI is and some of its key uses in the industrial automation field. We went over the 6 web HMI models that we have. Then we discussed how to set up the web HMI so that you can connect to your web-based devices. Next, we went over some case studies including web-based SCADA systems, HMI web streaming, and more. And lastly, we finished with the specifications of all the web HMI models. We here at Maple Systems are extremely excited to introduce all these new products and features to you. We invite you to explore even more by going to maplesystems.com and browsing the articles we have put together to illustrate how web HMIs can be the newest addition in your setup and how they can improve your current operations. You can find these under the Knowledge Center within the Solution tab, then Articles. If you ever have any questions at any time or want to inquire more about our web HMIs, then please contact our sales team through sales@maplesystems.com. And of course, always feel free to call us at 425 745 3229. Again, I'm Zach with Maple Systems, and thank you very much for watching. All right. Thank you again very much for watching. Really appreciate everyone's participation and engagement. Super helpful for us. Do you have a couple questions here that we want to get to before we move on? First question that I have is, why choose the web HMI over an industrial monitor? So our web HMIs are industrial monitor adjacent, not exactly the same thing. They are still class 1 div 2. Again, they are also high brightness, sunlight readable. One of the biggest advantages of the web HMIs, as I kind of hinted at earlier too, was the lack of physical connection, meaning that they don't need an HDMI cable to connect to the IPC. So in the instance of connecting to an IPC that's running a SCADA platform like Ignition, for example, with an industrial monitor connecting to an IPC, generally with IPCs or any PCs in general, you have about a 2 to 4 monitor limit. Those monitors are also just mirroring the screen that the IPC would be displaying, so not separate instances. So if you change it on one screen, it's going to change on the other. With the web HMIs, there's no HDMI cable. It's just an Ethernet connection. So you can broadcast that project over the web onto the web HMI, and you can control different instances, like I mentioned earlier, of the SCADA platform. So you could be monitoring different parts of your facility according to the SCADA project on those web HMIs. And then on top of that, as also mentioned, they are very cost effective. And then just the other question that I had is, do these work with cameras? So to really hammer down and reiterate what this web HMI is it is just a web device. It's a very simple device that can do a lot. So it can connect to any device that can broadcast over the web. This does include IP cameras. So if you have an IP camera that can broadcast the video and stream over the web, then you can absolutely connect to it via the web HMI. If you have an HMI that's just hard connected to a camera, you could connect to that HMI if it can broadcast over the web, and you could view the camera from that. So again, this web HMI, what it's doing is it's just connecting to another device via the web, displaying that device on it, but it's not just displaying, it does give you full control. So we will talk about that here a little bit more in depth when we go over our web streaming application and case study here in the live demo. I'm going to go ahead and pause for about 20 seconds. We're going to set up the camera here for the live demo, so just hang tight and we'll get rolling here in just a second. All right, everybody, thank you so much for your patience. We are going to go ahead and get going on our live demo. So We're going to showcase two different Web HMI models today. We're going to showcase our 7-inch capacitive screen, which is what we're looking at right now. And then we're going to showcase our 10-inch capacitive screen in just a moment. So if we look at the screen right now, this is just our Web HMI home screen. When you first take it out of the box and power it on, you will be prompted to change the password. That is a requirement. Once you change the password, you'll see this screen. From here, you can navigate to some settings. That's going to be up on our top left. You'll be prompted to change to enter the password. I'm going to go ahead and just check that box so we can see it. Right now, I've just changed it to be 7A's, all capital, just to make it easy on us. And once we're in, first thing you're going to see is the IP settings. So you can set it to static or dynamic. For this specific demo, I have it set to static. You can also set the date and time. You can calibrate the screen, change the password again if you need to, adjust the brightness. Again, they are high brightness, sunlight readable monitors. And then also change the language. And if we hop down over here, this is our URL setup. So again, I mentioned you can have up to 5 pre-programmed URLs. To go to a specific URL, you just select the bubble for the URL, click save, and then home and reboot, which we'll show you here in a moment as well. You can also change the screen timeout delay. That is the amount of time that you have before the application boots up, or you can get back into the settings. So we'll see that also in a moment. And then this is just some basic device information based on what you have the settings. So the first application that we are going to showcase is our CODESYS WebVisu. So I'm going to just hit save just to be sure that that's the one selected, hit the home button, and then reboot. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with CODESYS, CODESYS is just a PLC programming application that offers many different packages. One of the packages is this WebVisu package, which essentially allows you to add imaging to your PLC program without the use of an HMI software. So one of the benefits of this is this allows you to only have to use one software, whereas with a standard PLC HMI program, you would need to use a PLC programming software plus an HMI software. Since the Web HMIs require no additional software, all you're using in this case is CODESYS. So this is going to boot up here in a second. It's going to load our project. And we're going to go ahead and click this start button. So this is just the CODESYS WebVisu test project. As you can see, we have a few different things going on. We have a trend display, we have some gauges, some status lights, some text, a start stop button, which will start or stop the trend there. But again, as I mentioned, this is not just a display, this is full control. So I do have a little knob here that I can twist left and right. That will change the speed of our trend here. We can speed it back up and it'll get going a little bit more. Again, click the start and stop button to stop the trend. You'll see it just level out and then click it again to start. So very interactive and a great use of the Web HMI here, since it's just broadcasting this over an IPC in this case. That project's just located on our IPC. We connect via an IP address and a port number, and boom, we have our CODESYS project here, which is controlling our PLC with visuals built in that PLC software. So we're going to go ahead and move on over to our 10-inch model. So same home screen, just a little bit bigger. So this is our 10.1-inch specifically capacitive unit. Again, high brightness, sunlight readable screen. It's going to be the exact same settings. Everything else is the exact same, just the size. So we're going to go back into the URL here. I have the same password on this one as well. And as you see, same URLs, same setup. So this time we're going to change it. We're going to select this one right here. This is our SCADA Ignition project. So again, Ignition is a web-based SCADA platform. Oops, and I forgot to hit save. So there's a good lesson for you. Hit the save button, hit home, and reboot. If you do forget to hit save and you go into reboot, it will just boot up into the last application that you had selected. So in that case, it would have booted to that second option, which we are going to get to here in a second. Again, something to keep in mind while this is booting up, these Web HMIs are Class 1 Div 2. So they are perfect for any industrial automation facility that requires that classification. Again, as I mentioned a few times, they are high brightness, sunlight readable, so great for any outdoor application. The capacitive screens are PCAP, so they can be used with light gloves, and then our resistive models can be used with heavier gloves for more rugged environments. So something to keep in mind there when evaluating these units. So we're going to get into the Ignition homepage here. For those unfamiliar with Ignition, it's just a web-based SCADA software. It's very useful, just like any other SCADA software, except for you can broadcast it over the web. This is just the home screen here. We're going to go to our sample project right now. And remember, as I've kind of really mentioned, and I really want to hammer down, these devices are not just display-only devices. So the web HMIs don't just show the screen that someone else is looking at. It allows you to operate everything on the screen that you would normally be able to operate on the host machine. So in this case, if we are hosting this from an IPC or an industrial panel, we're not just broadcasting what the operator's seeing in a different room. We are able to fully control a separate instance of that screen. So this is our Ignition homepage now on our project. So we have a few different options here. We can look at our alarms. We can look at data entry. Again, this is all stuff we can view, but we can go to the real-time status and control here. Give you a better idea, and actually control. So we can turn this fan off. We can put it on auto. We can put it on hand, just a classic HOA display there. Same thing over here with our motors. So again, we're controlling everything on the ground floor, from a PLC to a VFD to any type of pump or motor and things like that. So again, it's not just a display. We are able to fully operate our entire SCADA platform and project. So we are going to go ahead and reboot this. As it reboots, it's going to give us that option again to either let the project boot up or go into the settings menu. In this instance, we do want to go into the settings menu because we want to change the URL. So to change that URL, we will need to power cycle, go into the settings menu, log back into that URL page, and then reselect what we would like to go to. So we're going to click this gear icon, and that's going to take us back to our familiar homepage. And we're going to go back in here, enter our password one more time. One more. And now we're going to reselect. So we're going to select this second option here, hit save, and reboot. So this last application that we're going to look at is our Easy Web application, which is our web streaming service here for our HMIs. Specifically, what we're connected to here is a headless HMI, CMT FHDX 820, which does also come with an HDMI display, but also has the feature to broadcast the project over the web via Easy Web. And then within Easy Web, the specific application that we are going to use is called WebView. That's what we're actually going to use to broadcast the project over the web. So one of the benefits of this specific setup is our headless HMI that we're using is not a class 1 Div 2 model. So what we can do is, because it's so compact, we can put it into a safe enclosure and then have the web HMI panel out in the open in a more rugged environment, since it is class 1 Div 2. So this is our Easy Web homepage. We're going to log in, and this is going to be the password of our HMI, which default is just 6 ones. We can actually move the keyboard up here too so we can see better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And log in. We'll move this back down and close it out. This is our dashboard, just gives us some information about the HMI. This is what's great about Easy Web is you can control certain things and edit certain things during runtime that you normally wouldn't be able to do on the HMI without the Easy Builder software. So this is great for operators who might need to make a quick edit to, let's say, the IP address or different parts of the project, like security or email, any other type of data, things like that. But we are going to go to the WebView settings here. So WebView is the part of EasyWeb that actually allows us to broadcast the project that is on the HMI over the web panel. So we're going to go ahead and launch that. And once this launches, we're going to enter that 6-1 password one more time and log in. Now, when it boots up, the orientation is going to be a little out of whack here. That's just because the resolutions of the CMTF HDX 820 are a little different than the 10-inch capacitive screen here. So we're going to click this blue circle and then click this icon on the far left, and that is going to resize our project. So now we are set to the correct resolution. And if we click on the screen here, that's going to take us to our demo homepage. So this is our CMT demo project. For those of you who have purchased HMIs through Maple Systems are probably familiar with this. This is exactly the project you'll see out of box within the HMI. Again, this is not just a display. I have full control over this HMI, so I can turn on switches, I can control pumps, I can see data coming in through live. And again, this is its own instance. So if I have 5 different web HMI screens all connected to the same HMI, I could have one screen on the switch and lamps. I could also go and have another screen on the recipe database. So I could have multiple things across my facility, which really benefits you to extend your project that far across all over your facility. So you can have operators looking at different things, controlling different things all at the same time. Really gives your operators and employees a good ease of access. Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for today. I really appreciate everyone's attendance, everyone's engagement. The questions were fantastic. I appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to join us here this morning. We're very excited about this Web HMI project. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please contact our sales team through sales@maplesystems.com. You can also give us a call at any time at 425-745-3229. Anyway, again, thank you all so much for joining us. Again, my name is Zach with Maple Systems. Have a great day.